In this video, I'll explain how to use the quotient rule of exponents. So the quotient rule of exponents says this: if we have some number x raised to the power of m, and we divide it by the same number x raised to the power of n, we can actually just simplify this whole expression to x to the power of m minus n. Now, just to show that this is actually true, let's put some real numbers to x and work through an example. So let's say x is equal to 3. Let's say we have 3 to the 4th power, and then we divide that by 3 to the 2nd power. Well, 3 to the 4th power, we can rewrite that as 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That's 3 to the 4th power. Divided by 3 squared, we can write that as 3 times 3. So when we actually multiply all that out, we get 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81, divided by 3 times 3 is 9. So 81 divided by 9 is just equal to 9. And if we wanted to, we could rewrite that as 3 squared. So the quotient rule is telling us, well, actually, instead of doing all of this multiplication and all this division, you could have just done 3 to the 4th minus 2. Which is equal to 3 squared. And so that's just a real example of why the quotient rule is true. Instead of working through all this, we could have just said, oh, 3 to the 4th divided by 3 squared is actually just equal to 3 to the 4 minus 2, or 3 squared. So knowing that this quotient rule is true, let's use it to work through a few examples and try to simplify these fractions we have down here. So let's take a look at the first example. We have x to the 7th divided by x to the 3rd. So the quotient rule says you can simplify this to make it x to the 7 minus 3. And that's just x to the 4th. So x to the 7th divided by x to the 3rd, that's just x to the 4th. So let's take a look at our second example. We have 3x to the 4th times y to the 5th divided by 9x squared times y to the 3rd. So 3 divided by 9, we can simplify this fraction right here to just 1/3. So we'll write a 1 over 3. And then we have, in the numerator, we have x to the 4th. In the denominator, we have x squared. So we can write x to the 4 minus 2. And then we have y to the 5th and y to the 3rd over here. So we can write that as y to the 5 minus 3. And then we can just simplify. So we can say x to the 4 minus 2, that's just x squared. Y to the 5 minus 3, that's just y squared. And that's all over the number 3. 3 is all we have left in the denominator. So that's our answer for this one. That's how we use the quotient rule to simplify this huge expression right here to x squared times y squared divided by 3. Now let's take a look at our last example. We have 4x to the 5th, y to the 6th divided by 2x to the 7th times y to the 3rd. So we'll start by saying 4 divided by 2, that's just 2. And then we have x to the 5th in the numerator and x to the 7th in the denominator. So we can rewrite that as x to the 5 minus 7. And then we have y to the 6th in the numerator and y to the 3rd in the denominator. So we can rewrite that as y to the 6 minus 3. And then we'll go ahead and simplify. So we have 2x to the 5 minus 7, that's negative 2. Y to the 6 minus 3, that's y to the 3. And one trick we can do is when we have an exponent that is negative up here in the numerator, we can actually just put it in the denominator to make it positive. So we can be left with 2y to the 3rd over x squared. And we like to do that just so that our final expression only has positive exponents. So those were 3 examples of how to use the quotient rule of exponents to simplify expressions. Thanks for watching, guys.